Hi, I'm Ryan. So I flew all the way from San Francisco a few days ago, and I'm still a little jet lagged, so I might be a little slow today, but I hope we have a good time. So I'm the co-director at MATS, or the Machine Learning Alignment and Theory Scholars Program, which is an AI safety field building program. So unlike a lot of the speakers you're going to hear this weekend, I don't do AI safety research myself. One point I tried, but not anymore. I just run a program. So my background was I was in Australia for most of my life. I did a PhD in physics at the University of Queensland. And when I finished that, I went straight to San Francisco Bay Area to try and help out with AI safety. And I was a scholar in the first version of MATS that had ultimately five people in the in-person program. And then after that, I talked to the organizers a fair bit. I was like, hey, I really want to help grow this thing. And so I joined the organizing team. And over the last 2 years, we've run, must be now another 4 programs with another 3 extension phases on the end of those. And along the way, we also founded this London Initiative for Safe AI, which I founded with my co-director, Christian Smith, and Mike Brzezowski, who was on the team, which is a London-based AI safety office hub. So let's just talk about our mission. Why are we here today? So here's my reasons, right? Firstly, artificial general intelligence, or AGI, might be dangerous, and it might be near. So if you see the bottom left figure, this is taken from the Existential Persuasion Tournament, which I believe was run by Tyler Killen and others. And that particular tournament, a series of experts, either from the super forecasting domain, where they're great at forecasting on short duration timescales, or domain experts in AI, forecasted what is the probability of an AI catastrophe that wipes out 10% of the world's population by the year 2100. And the median estimates for the super forecasters was 2%, and for the AI experts, 12%. Now, these numbers are very uncomfortably high for me. This is certainly like, if I flew in a plane and I was like, man, the risk of dying is 2%, I would probably not fly that plane, right? And on the top right, we see here the popular forecasting platform Metaculus, and the current prediction for when AGI will arrive from all those thousands and thousands of predictions, almost 3,000, is July 2031. That's pretty soon. And if, according to this bottom right figure, which is produced by Anthropic's Chris Olah, if the boundary of safety research is somewhere far south of the Apollo project, and the hardness of aligning and controlling powerful AGI systems is at the level of the Apollo project, we're going to need hundreds of thousands of researchers or support staff, not the 200 to 300 we have today. So what are MATS's goals? 1, we want to accelerate high-impact researchers who are entering the space for the first time, such that they can produce useful research, find jobs, et cetera, as fast as possible. 2, we want to support high-impact research mentors who often need help scaling up their research projects. And 3, we want to grow the AI safety field and increase the carrying capacity by helping people, helping good marginal hires, as some of the safety teams at like Anthropic, DeepMind, et cetera, help install new postdocs if we can, or accelerate people into those positions at some of the academic labs, such as this New York University Alignment Research Group, and help new founders found impactful new projects like we did with Apollo Research and Marius Hoppan. So what do new researchers need? The most important thing is they have to be really good technically, and usually that means machine learning. They have to be very good at machine learning. They often need high-quality mentorship. There's relatively few people in the world who can provide high-quality mentorship for AI safety, but that number is growing, hopefully. They need a basic understanding of the threat models. What are the problems in AI safety that are worth tackling? How do you know if you've actually made meaningful progress on the problem? They need community, like in a university, except there isn't currently a lot of, there's several university institutions for AI safety, but perhaps there should be more. They need support, and if they want to get jobs, especially in tech industry, they need publications, and they need to be pretty fast at coding. So here's our theory of change. There's 5 points. 1, we think a lot of different AI safety or alignment agendas are promising. We don't know yet which we should put all our eggs into one basket, so we spread them out. 2, we think apprenticeship under some high-performing expert mentors is very valuable. 3, we think a community of peers can help bootstrap new researchers. 4, we think there's some support and training services we can offer that are of value. And 5, we think mentor time is very valuable, and so we should have a very strong filter. So what is the MATS program? Well, at its core, it's a twice a year, 10-week research program where scholars are paired up with expert mentors in various fields of AI safety and work on projects under them. There's a Berkeley office that we all operate out of, which is next to San Francisco in California, and there's a community that arises around that for the period. There's seminars from leading AI experts, there's workshops on how to do research, there's research management services from our team members, and there's an extension program, optional, which about half the scholars elect to apply to and then are accepted by, which is up to 4 months and usually takes place in Lisa in London. So here's just my kind of goofy model of researcher development. I borrowed this from like the generalizing specialist or T-shaped skills framework. So we think the most important dimension of being a researcher is depth. That's your ability to execute, to drive new research forward. Perhaps the second most is breadth, this understanding of the research field. Like what has been done before, where are the gaps, where can we make progress? And the third is this elusive quality of taste. It's like, what are the new experiments we should run? How do we know in advance if a thing is worth pursuing? This is the hardest to train, but we hope by giving people short, high-quality feedback loops with expert mentors and peers, we can help this. And of course, the limiting constraint in our ecosystem seems to be mentors. So we try and push as much of the resources to other sectors in this quadrant as we can. So if we can accomplish some of the object level like executive support and team management work with our research manager staff, that reduces the burden on the mentors. If there's a seminar that people all want to see, and perhaps this is better to have a seminar on this topic than have this explained like 20, 30 times by mentors. And so maybe some workshops are additionally of value. So what is research management? So we introduced this in the last program, and we think it's pretty great. So it has 3 goals: to help scholars set goals, be productive, and use mentor time well, to help mentors track scholar research, and to help MATs achieve program outcomes. And the way they do this is scholars will meet weekly or daily with a research manager in addition to their mentor. They'll help them prepare for meetings with their mentor, they'll help them set goals, they'll help them accomplish program milestones, and often act as a series of not quite experts, but people managing experts. And this has actually resulted in a lot of increased productivity. So we think this is a very easy way to get gains. Essentially, you might take the role of a principal investigator in an academic lab or research group and separate it into the research lead under the mentor and then the people manager under the research manager. So over MATS's history, the last 2 years, we've had 213 scholars pass through the program, and 47 mentors have been supported. So these 1.0, 2.0, these refer to program iterations, 6 months apart. And the X.1 are extension programs. So you can see the last 3 research programs have had about 60 scholars apiece. So it's quite large, it's quite a busy office. And the extension program's about half as many. So how have MATS alumni done? Well, before the summer cohort last year, we're still collecting data on them, 22% are completing a master's or PhD. 39% were hired after MATS from all of these different research organizations. Of those, 50% said MATS made them much more likely to apply for their job, and 31% attributed greater than 6 months speed up to MATS. And also alumni have founded organizations like Apollo Research, TAIS, and Jesse will speak later, and Stan, Leap Labs, the Center for AI Policy, Cadenza Labs, and ATLA, among others. And right after the program, 75% of alumni who apply for independent research funding from the Long-Term Future Fund or Open Philanthropy or Manifund, one of the several funders, are successful. So here's just the last cohort, 23 mentors from all these different institutions: Anthropic, DeepMind, UC Berkeley, Center for Human Compatible AI, FAR AI, Center on Long-Term Risk, etc. So here's the composition of the last cohort. We had 61 scholars, and as you can see, about 20% of them were undergrads, and about 10% were had PhDs already, and the rest were somewhere in between. And here's the spread among the different types of research agendas. As you can see, the most dominant was interpretability, a bit of an interpretability wave recently at 44%, followed by evaluations or demonstrations of certain types of alignment failures or dangerous capabilities, followed by oversight and control work, cooperative AI and agent foundations, info security, and lastly, formal verification. So how have we done according to scholars? Well, when we ask scholars to rate us, they give us a rating of 9.2 out of 10 on average, which is fantastic. So we're doing something right. And a net promoter score of plus 74. And when we ask them about mentorship in particular, they say this is about 8.1 out of 10. So this seems to be one of the best attributes of the program. We ask mentors, how are scholars doing? We ask them, how strongly do you support the scholars' research continuing? They say 8.1 out of 10 on average. And they estimate up to almost 60% of scholars might be a first author paper at a top conference, which I think is optimistic, but that's fantastic faith. About 30% might get a job offer from AI safety team, and they seem to think about 10% might found a new AI safety research org, which doesn't seem implausible given the history. So what is the interest like for our upcoming summer and winter programs? Well, we have 965 applications and counting, and the deadline does close in a few days, so if you want to apply, there's still time. About 46 mentors applied to work with us, and among the scholars you can see this distribution, obviously a lot more undergrads than we typically accept. And interestingly, the potential mentors and applicant research interest is correlated. Obviously, interpretability is the most interesting to people, it seems still. Evaluations, demonstrations, and oversight control are next, and of course, down we go. We think there's actually a lot more interest in governance policy and InfoSec than we're capturing, but because our main target demographic is technical AI safety. So here are our research priorities for the upcoming cohort. So as you can see, interpretability has taken a little bit of a hit, about 9% less. And that 9% is actually going to be an oversight and control research because we think this is currently experiencing quite a windfall of interest. And evaluations and demonstrations remains about the same level. So these 7 organizations are some of the core ones we're hoping to support. And there are many more mentors, including some here today, that we hope to support as well. So that's Anthropic, DeepMind, Redwood Research, the Center for AI Safety, Center on Long-Term Risk, Apollo Research, MIT, Algorithmic Alignment Group, and others. So what technical research is even needed? Well, we think interpretability is pretty important. Features such as sparse autoencoders, mechanistic anomaly detection to detect if models are performing different computations internally, perhaps to catch deception, grokking, or general research into mechanistic explanations for why models behave the way they do. Oversight and control research, such as debate, weak to strong generalization, activation steering, chain of thought steganography, and automated red teaming. Evaluations and demonstrations work, such as model organisms of misalignment, a new agenda, dangerous capabilities evaluations, and evaluations of situational awareness. And you'll note that some of these are bolded. This is research that was conducted within the MATS program. And most of the other research here was conducted by people who are alumni or are currently mentors of MATS. So there's cooperative AI and agent foundations work involving shutdown ability, reflective stability, safe Pareto improvements, and governance and policy work such as compute verification, model certification, and strict liability. What talent is needed? Well, machine learning skill is really important. We think this is like the #1 core attribute of a good researcher, except of course for some of the smaller research areas we support. It seems that new talent can seize low-hanging fruit. So all of these papers I've listed here, that's indirect object identification, the sleeper agents paper out of Anthropic, sparse autoencoders, I know Hoagie's going to talk later, and activation steering work, all this was accomplished by people who are relatively new to AI safety and perhaps even machine learning. So there's obviously a lot of work you can do if you're relatively new to the space. Fast coding is very important for scaling lab teams. Good research communication is particularly important because policymakers are going to read your research, and it's going to be hard for things to be implemented if you can't communicate it well. And there are many high-impact roles outside of technical AI safety, such as in policy, and info security, and operations work. Talk to me if you are interested. Academia is also very underrated, I think. I think there's many fantastic PhD projects people could work on now. How can you help? Well, you could apply to MATS. We're currently accepting applications from scholars for the next few days, but for longer for our winter program, from mentors. If you're interested, just email me. And for team members, we're hiring for research managers, community managers, and more. You could donate to MATS. We do accept donations currently. about $24,000 per scholar on the margin. The Long-Term Future Fund, we think, is probably one of the most impactful funders in the space that you can actually donate to. You could host a local AI safety fundamentals reading group, which is a fantastic way to introduce people to the field. You could host an arena course, which is a technical AI safety upskilling course, and that's available for free online. You could work on high-impact research, like I've mentioned. Again, I'd love to chat about that while you're here. And you could build aptitudes in industry and academia such that as AI safety grows, you can be of an asset. So I'd like to thank my team. I'd like to thank the conference sponsors, Neon Research. I'd like to thank our funders at Open Philanthropy, the Survival and Flourishing Fund, and DALHAP Investments, and also people on the Mana Fund regranting platform. And I'd like to take your questions if you have any. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? Perhaps I'll start. Oh, Simon, do you have one from online?
Yes, we've got some questions from the live stream. Brian Mori from Brazil wants to ask how I think an AI safety interested person can collaborate with Mats from outside of the US, maybe somewhere in Brazil or in Japan.
Yeah, so currently MATS, when our scholars fly over to the US, they come over on the visa waiver program from eligible countries, or they apply for B1 visas, or we can accept students on F1 visas for their CPT work. Currently, scholars are classified as independent researchers who receive grants to participate in the program. This does unfortunately leave some countries ineligible or makes it much harder. For instance, past scholars from Brazil have had a hard time coming over. However, we do accept remote attendees. We have had some remote Brazilians. But also, there are programs based in South America. So there's the Condor Camp and other programs that are based around this as well. I would recommend looking into those.
Thank you. Unless there's a question from the audience, I have another one for the live stream.
We're just sending a mic over now.
Hi, can you hear me? Right. Hi, I'm a ML practitioner from the industry, so I have a question from that perspective specifically. As someone who actually programs and develops machine learning algorithms for production in the industry, the AI safety part is not really taken care of, so to say. And I guess one of the reasons for that is most likely this research is not easy to find, I think. Even though we are trying to do something about it, but from an industry perspective, it's hard to find out where to find all these researches and then apply them into our algorithms, and then also conduct tests and verify whether it's actually working or not. So my question is, where exactly is there, how do we find these niche journals and publications and research and these topics and themes and these, I mean, yes, I know what the topics are, but actually kind of figuring out, okay, if I'm working on a specific domain, what type of AI safety technical needs do I need to cater for this specific problem? And then where should I go and look for those specific publications and journals and ideas and concepts to then kind of program them into our models? So I guess that's my question. If you have an answer to that, that's nice. If you have some links or URLs or some specific journals that we need to follow, please let us know. Thank you.
Yeah, I would recommend, I'll share my slides, and of course all the research that I linked there, almost all of that is from archive papers, right, that are submitted to top journals. There's going to be a NeurIPS workshop on mechanistic interpretability that Neil Nanda is running from DeepMind. A lot of AI safety research is just published in top ML journals now. You can just find it. Just go to NeurIPS, ICML, et cetera. Sometimes it's hard to tell what is cutting edge, what isn't. I think there's a great need to make AI safety research more legible to mainstream academia. I think the Center for AI Safety is doing a great job for that. They have a newsletter you can sign up for. You can also go on the alignmentforum.com, which has a bunch of blog post style things. You can get on Twitter. There's a bunch of people you can follow on Twitter. I like following like Richard No. There's many others. You could watch podcasts like Dwarkesh Patel, the 80,000 Hours podcast. They have some great content on AI safety. Yeah, you could hop on. I guess like there's various like lists of links. So one of the ones I particularly like is from Arkose, ARKOSE. They have some fantastic lists of links for various types of AI safety research. But yeah, I mean, like it is an emerging field, so you're not going to find as many conference publications as you'd like, but they will come. We're trying.
While the microphone is being delivered, I wanted to let the previous person who asked the question, let them know that in the live stream chat, some people send a bunch of links where you can find the answer to your question. So if you pop up to the live stream chat, you can find some other suggestions from the community.
May I ask a question? I was interested in what the mentors have, what are the incentives for the mentors to join in your course? Do they receive something? Is there any reciprocal relationship between the mentors and the scholars, and what do they get from the course?
It's a good question. Sometimes I ask them. So mentors all volunteer their time. We don't pay anyone. We never have. So what they get out of it, though, is they get willing, motivated, awesome scholars to help them further their research interests. And of course, mentors get some of the satisfaction from helping grow this research field that they care very deeply about.
Thank you.
Well, thanks very much. Can you hear me like from? Yeah, great. So I think I had a bit of a question related, I guess, to timescales of some of the topics that you listed as priorities, I guess, for match. So some of them look more like, short term, say like within 6 months we should have this machine learning thing, like, working and, well, in the pipeline working and, delivered. And some other ones seem perhaps a bit, I want to say like a bit longer, well, medium term, say like some verification / policy, I guess like topics. It looks to me like they might be more like on a few years time scale. And I wonder whether this intuition is kind of right, or if you have like different opinions on, time scales of the different topics.
So when I made this list, I deliberately included papers that I think are very recent and very topical. All of these research areas, I think, could use research right now. And they might pay off in longer timescales or shorter timescales, but that's part of the portfolio approach we take. If you're thinking about, like, say, provable AI safety and verification of algorithms, I think that does also merit. I kind of might shoehorn that under like interpretability type approach here, but compute verification here is actually different. It's stuff like the paper "How to Catch a Chinchilla," right, by Yo Shavit from Harvard, which is like ways to be sure that like certain compute resources are being used for training runs that you think are safe or are like below some minimum threshold of compute. So that's what this refers to, not so much the like proving that this is a safe algorithm, which I think is very topical and timely.
We've got another question from the live stream. Kabi Kumar is asking, do you think that lawyers can partner with alignment researchers to make policy without needing to learn a lot about alignment? For example, as was done in the last AI lawathon. Thank you.
Yes, I definitely think this. One of the papers I've linked here, which is linked as liability, is about US tort law and how this can, basically how people could form civil suits against AI companies or AI distributors that fail to take basic safety precautions. And it seems this is a very active and interesting area of research. And I don't think you need to know much at all about AI safety to know that, like, if a company does something that is harmful and doesn't take meaningful steps to reduce the harm of their product, they can be sued. And I think building up the legal case for this, it doesn't take a great deal of AI safety knowledge, no, but it's very important.
We had one more question from the audience.
Hello, I'm Slava. We are doing kind of local and online Russian-speaking groups on AI safety fundamentals, etc., etc. So I'm interested in the organizing stuff you mentioned, the research management part. And how many research managers do you use? I mean, is it one-to-one to mentors, or how does it work? And what exactly do you win by separating mentor and research manager as a different persons? Thank you.
Yeah, so our basic rule of thumb is for every 12 scholars, 1 research manager, and that works out pretty well. But of course, we don't necessarily have research managers for every single scholar. The way it works is a research manager is typically assigned to mentor streams that have 3 or more scholars, because we think this is where the most benefit occurs. Previously, we used to, when we were smaller or had like less, like there were certain mentor streams that were like more independent or something, and weren't all like 3 or 4 people working on the same project, which is often the case now. We used to have more of a one-on-one kind of approach, where people would meet weekly or bi-weekly with research mentors, and they would just help them reflect on their research and perhaps set goals and stuff. Currently, we see it, the most useful aspect of research management is sort of as an extension of mentorship. If mentor time is very limited, then a research manager can internalize what a mentor wants. This stems from a principle: verification is easier than generation. So a mentor might be able to have very specialized knowledge and help lead a project, but a research manager can tell if someone's worked hard or not, you know? And they can also help them to set goals at a high level, and they can be a rubber duck that people can talk to, bounce ideas off. We also train them in several types of techniques that are useful for new researchers. They're also very familiar with we have several milestones in the program, including a research plan, which is effectively a beginner's grant proposal that we actually help scholars submit. It's actually a requirement to get into the extension that you submit and receive external funding from a grant proposal you write in MATS. That's like a feature of the program, and research managers are very good at helping people write grant proposals. They're also very good at helping people prepare talks. We have a mandatory talk component of the program. So there's a lot of things you can get out of a non-expert who is familiar with AI safety and is a good communicator that is not necessarily as rare to find as top quality research mentor.
I think that's all we have time for. So thank you, Ryan.